Success isn't guaranteed in pop music. Sometimes an album is destined to fail, but a single breakout track can turn it all around. In this video, we'll look at 8 songs that saved an album from flopping. Malibu by Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus deliberately pivoted towards a more mature, rootsy sound for her 6th studio album Younger Now. Released on September 29, 2017, the project blended soft rock and country influences. However, it struggled to connect. The album debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200, just 45,000 units sold in its first week, and earned a lukewarm Metacritic score of 58 out of 100. It risks fading into obscurity. But the biggest hit, Malibu, was the lead single, which came out 4 months earlier. The bubbly, bright track shot to number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, marking her first top 10 entry since Wrecking Ball in 2013. The song earned double platinum certification in the US, racking up over 900 million streams on Spotify alone. Its stripped-down production and vibe stood out on the album. Its early release created months of anticipation, but the album disappointed. The other single was the title track, which had a disappointing peak of number 79 on the Hot 100. Ultimately, Malibu is what prevented Younger Now from being remembered as an outright flop. The single's commercial success drove the album to gold certification, and it was undoubtedly the biggest moment from that era. Work Bitch by Britney Spears. Britney Spears was in a transitional phase, fresh off the massive Femme Fatale tour, and focused on launching her long-term Las Vegas residency, Britney Piece of Me. Her 8th studio album, Britney Jean, was marketed heavily as her most personal record yet. It arrived on December 3, 2013, but the results were underwhelming at best. It debuted on number 4 on the Billboard 200, with a then career low 107,000 first week copies sold, her lowest opening since her 1999 debut. It ultimately became her lowest selling album in the US, and with a Metacritic score of 50 out of 100, it had mixed reviews from critics. Work Bitch, however, started off the era on high, as it was the lead single. The EDM banger debuted at number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100, selling a staggering 174,000 digital copies in its first week, eventually earning 2 times platinum certification. The Desert Set music video, featuring her as a dominatrix, also added to its popularity, as she has not been able to top the song since then. In the end, Work Bitch single-handedly salvaged Britney Jean from total commercial failure. While the album itself underperformed, the single injected much-needed hype and kept her relevant during a lull in her career. It proved that even when an album lacks cohesive promotion, one undeniable lead single can carry a whole era. Pillow Talk by Zayn. Zayn Malik's departure from One Direction in March 2015 sent shockwaves through pop culture, creating huge hype for his solo release. After years in the world's biggest boy band, he stepped into a solo career with Mind of Mine, a moody sensual R&B project that deliberately distanced himself from the 1D sound. Pillow Talk was the lead single, and it exploded instantly. The song debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and simultaneously topped the UK singles chart, racking up millions of streams within days. The steamy music video created social media buzz, turning the track into a global phenomenon that transcended his boy band past. It redefines Zayn as a serious solo artist capable of making adult R&B, but it was still in question whether Zayn could carry an album on his own. The lead single rescued Mind of Mine from potential underperformance. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, with 157,000 equivalent units sold in its first week, starting off Zayn's solo career on a high. Then the follow-up single Like I Do stalled at number 55 on the Hot 100, and the album's deeper cuts have gone largely unnoticed. The lead single didn't just promote the record, it is the only song many people know from that era. Lover Boy by Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey entered the new millennium at the peak of her powers, but quickly found herself in crisis. After signing a landmark $80 million deal with Virgin Records, she poured everything into Glitter, the movie and its accompanying soundtrack album, only for personal struggles including a very public breakdown and hospitalization to overshadow the project. The album's release on September 11, 2001 could not have been worse timed, as it came out on 9/11. Expectations were huge. After her 1990s dominance prominence, but Glitter ended up becoming her lowest point. Loverboy emerged as the project's defiant lead single. The bouncy, sample-heavy R&B banger was decently successful, despite the chaos, including the infamous TRL ice cream stunt. The song climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the best-selling physical singles of 2001. The song never sounded good to my ears, but it was the only successful single from the Glitter era. In the end, Loverboy was the reason that prevented the album from total disaster. The album itself debuted at a disappointing number 7 on the Billboard 200 with just 116,000 first-week sales, which was low for the time, and Mariah's weakest opening at the time, leading Virgin to buy out her contract for $28 million. The follow-up singles barely registered, but Loverboy's gold certification ensured the project left some mark. Years later, fan campaigns like #JusticeForGlitter revived interest, but at the time the album came out, it was a disappointment. Gimme All Your Lovin' by Madonna. Gimme All Your Lovin' was released as the lead single of MDNA in early 2012, perfectly timed to capitalize on Madonna's high-profile Super Bowl halftime performance. The upbeat, cheerleader chant-driven track featured verses from Nicki Minaj and MIA, and it was designed to be a hit. This collaboration injected fresh energy into her career. The single debuted on number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100, and eventually peaked on number 10, being certified gold in the US. Its success was amplified by the Super Bowl spotlight, which boosted its sales. Without the single's momentum, MDNA might have struggled even more. The song's radio-friendly sound and viral-friendly elements helped the album secure a number 1 debut on the Billboard 200 with 359,000 first-week sales. Sales were helped by the ticket purchases on her tour, which accounted for half the numbers, around 185,000 units. It had an 88% drop in the second week, the largest ever recorded at the time for a number 1 album. It ultimately underperformed. The follow-up singles like Girl Gone Wild and Turn Up the Radio failed to replicate the same impact, with both of them missing the Hot 100 entirely. Gimme All Your Lovin' acted like a lifeline to MDNA's launch and prevented it from becoming a complete commercial failure. In an era where Madonna was trying to keep her relevance, the album couldn't sustain the hype long term. Never Again by Kelly Clarkson. Never Again served as a lead single for Kelly Clarkson's third studio album, My December, arriving at a weird time in her career. The song was a rock-infused breakup anthem that showcased her powerful vocals. Released in April 2007, it quickly gained traction, peaking at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 and selling over 600,000 digital downloads before the album even dropped. This strong pre-release built anticipation, setting high expectations. My December, the album felt significant hurdles. The label refused to promote it because they didn't agree with the sound. Never Again delivered a solid foundation, helping the album debut on number 2 on the Billboard 200 with 291,000 first-week sales. The single's chart success and airplay helped Kelly avoid a disastrous launch. While follow-up singles like Sober achieved moderate traction, the single carried the era. Never Again was instrumental in saving My December from complete failure. During a challenging chapter in Kelly's career, it saved an album that was supposed to fail. Bang Bang by Jessie J, Ariana Grande, and Nicki Minaj. Jessie J's Sweet Talker arrived in October 2014, following the modest US performance of her previous album Alive, which failed to crack the Billboard 200's top 40, despite doing well in the UK. She started off the era with the huge hit Bang Bang, which became the lead single and instantly became a global phenomenon. Featuring Ariana Grande and Nicki Minaj, debuted on number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, and went on to peak at number 3, becoming her biggest song, accumulating around 1.6 billion Spotify streams to date. The music video and the VMA performance helped its popularity, pushing it to diamond status. But the album had a low-key R&B sound. It debuted on number 10 on the Billboard 200, moving around 25,000 first-week sales, which was underwhelming, especially following the smash hit. The next singles barely registered, and without the lead success, the rest of the album was an afterthought. Intuition by Jewel. Jewel's 0304, released in June 2003, represented one of the most polarizing switch-ups in the early 2000s. After building up a successful career as a folk singer on albums like Pieces of You, which sold over 12 million copies, Jewel abruptly pivoted to a dance pop sound she wasn't known for. Pre-release skepticism was high, but the radical image change being controversial. The lead single Intuition dropped in April 2003 and served as the introduction for her new era. A bouncy dance pop track with self-aware lyrics caught listeners off guard. It climbed to number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Jewel's biggest pop radio success in years. The accompanying video went into heavy rotation on MTV and VH1, bridging her folk past with mainstream appeal. The follow-up singles didn't do as well, but Intuition introduced the album to a broader audience. It transformed 0304 from a risky gamble into a decent success. The album debuted on number 2 on the Billboard 200 with 144,000 first week sales, Jewel's highest charting and biggest opening to date. The lead single introduced the era well, ensuring the album didn't collapse under the controversy. The 0304 era was a big risk, but a well thought out single saved it from disaster. Which songs that saved an album from flopping did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.